chair who thinks we're silly. You be daffy and I'll be dilly. We'll order up 2 bowls of chili, setting the woods on fire.
Well, good morning everyone, and welcome back to the ranch. I'm Dr. Lee, and as you can see, it is another beautiful day in South Texas. It has been mighty hot here the last few weeks. I know a lot of you guys are enduring that as well. Fortunately though, last week we did get a little bit of rain, which turned some of the yellow grass green, as you can see back behind me, which was a godsend for all the wildlife because they have really been struggling. Anyway, thanks again for dropping by today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day for a little visit today with me. Today's video is going to be one of those little sweet ones, a little rescue story that we all love and cherish so much. So hang on, here we go. First off though, folks, I would like to thank our sponsor, HelloFresh. As many of you know, I first found out about HelloFresh a few years ago when they sponsored videos on my son's channel, Off the Ranch. And I asked Matt at that time, I said, tell me about HelloFresh. He said, well, it's good, it's easy. He said, Meredith and I love it. And he said, more importantly, the kids love it too. So at that time, my wife and I jumped on the HelloFresh bandwagon too. And you guys know that I would not bring you anything that I'm not 100% supportive of. And honestly, my wife and I, we love HelloFresh. One of the greatest things my wife and I like about HelloFresh is the fact that it's kind of gotten us out of our rut. After over 40 years of marriage, we got to where we were eating the same foods over and over and over. HelloFresh has over 55 different weekly meals, and they're all good. And this is summertime, and summertime is vacation time, and I do like my vacations. But one thing I don't like about vacations is having to get cleaned up at the end of each day, putting on nice clothes, going into town, trying to find a restaurant, sitting at the restaurant for God only knows how long, ordering food that may be good, may not be good, then paying an astronomical amount of money for it, and having to leave a tip on top of that. And I don't mind doing it 2 or 3 times a week. It's just I don't want to do it every night of the vacation. HelloFresh has it where you can update your delivery address and enjoy HelloFresh at your vacation destination with just a click of the mouse. And when we do take the grandkids with us, HelloFresh has a kid-friendly line of recipes that is picky eater proof. Even this one right here loves HelloFresh. So go to HelloFresh.com and use the code DrLee16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Once again, go to HelloFresh.com and type in the code DrLee16 for 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Thanks again, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this video. Well, friends, today's video is going to be a little unusual. My goodness, how many times have I started off a video that way? But it is going to be a little bit different. And to give you a little history on this, Drew and I built me a supercomputer recently with a lot of processing power, got a lot of really innovative new software in it, and it's really an awesome computer. One thing I didn't want to do is put all the old files out of my old computer onto it to just clutter up space. So I was going through my old computer, removing all the trash before I downloaded the programs that I needed onto my new computer. And in the process, I found a folder labeled Vet Ranch. And I went through it, and most of it was just small videos and clips that I used to make Vet Ranch videos back in the past. But I found a couple of videos that never made it. The one I'm going to show you today is one that I made a long time ago, and when Matt and I took it into editing, there were corrupt files, there were frame rate issues, there was lost footage in there, and we just could not make a suitable video out of what we had put on Vet Ranch. So we just canned it, threw it in the trash, and we moved on to the next video. And with all this new software I have, with all the new editing software and all the new programs that we have now, I thought I'm going to see if I can make a video out of this today and bring it forth so you guys could see it. It's not worthy of Vet Ranch. It's choppy. It's you'll see what I'm talking about. It does not flow well, but it's a good story, and I think you'll like it. So with no further ado, here we go. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Lee, and a few days ago I got a text from a Great Dane rescue unit in South Texas. They were down at a high kill shelter, and they'd found a little female in there that was about to be put to sleep because she was having trouble urinating. So they called me, they asked me if I could take this little dog in, and I said, sure, I love Great Danes, and we can fix urinary problems, so send her on. So they did, and here's what we got. Not exactly what we were expecting from a Great Dane rescue, but nevertheless, she's a sweet little dog, and she's in a lot of trouble, in a lot of pain right now. She's got some medicine on board to help her with the pain. But we're going to x-ray her urinary tract and see what we come up with. Well, here was the first snag, because our sophisticated digital x-ray machine would not take an x-ray until we put the patient's name in. And sadly, this little patient had no name. So I told Amy, I said, Amy, pick a name. And she held that little dog up and she said, well, she does kind of look like Yoda, doesn't she? Like a little Yoda? And I said, yeah. And she said, okay, Yodita. And I said, okay, Yodita it is. This first x-ray image here is of little Yodita on her side. And you can see 3 huge stones in her bladder. Here you can see them. I circled them in yellow so you can see them pretty well. 2 of them are overlapping, and this, my friends, is not good. When you see stones that big in a little bladder like this, there's not enough room for urine to even collect. That's why this little dog, she was just dribbling urine, and her urine was all infected and nasty, and she was really, really painful. These stones are like sandpaper, and they just abrade the sensitive lining of the bladder, cause it to bleed, and cause it to be very, very painful. So she was not kidding about the pain. This is another x-ray image of her with her laying on her back. And again, you can see these 3 huge bladder stones. And like I said, there was no room for her to even collect any urine at all. So her urine was just running right straight through her. When the stones are small, you can put them on diets that will break the stones down over time, but this little dog did not have much time left. She was pretty sick and going into kidney failure. So we had to take her straight to surgery and just hope and pray that these stones had not damaged her bladder beyond repair. And folks, the next footage is of the actual surgery. I did blur out the wound and everything immediately around the wound if you'd like to watch that. If you would like to watch the entire actual surgery, I'll put a link to just the surgery alone down in the comments section. I'll pin it as a comment, and it will also be in the description of this video. And then you can go to the link and you can watch the actual surgery. It's pretty interesting. It was not that much of a bloody video, and it's really interesting to see those stones come out of the bladder too. If you don't want to watch any surgery whatsoever, then what I'd like for you to do is right now, just go ahead and skip to this forwarding location, and then you won't have to watch any of the surgery. Okay, here's our girl. We're getting ready for surgery. You see, she's got all these monitors on her now. Amy's going to get her all scrubbed up for us. Amy is squeezing the bladder now. You can see where all the stones are located in that poor little dog's bladder. Okay, we've made our initial incision in little Yodita here, and we noticed that she's got a hernia. This is her spay scar. She was spayed along this same line, and she's got a hernia right there. You can see I put those scissors all the way into her abdomen, and that's a hole right there where her incision line failed from her spay. So we'll repair this and make it a whole lot stronger than it ever was.
Now we are.
Okay. All right, and there's her bladder right there. It's usually not that obvious to see a bladder when you first go into an abdomen, but hers is so full of stones. There's just nothing else there. So we're going to go ahead and pop that bladder out through that incision, and then we're going to go in here. This is her uterus here that stuck to her bladder. They really left a lot of adhesions when they spayed this poor little girl. So we're going to have to cut her uterus. This is the remnant of it that goes down to her vagina, and we're going to have to cut the remnant of that away from the bladder first, and then we'll make an incision in the bladder and go get those stones out of there. Okay. So this is the remnant of her uterus. This is the stump that they left after they did her hysterectomy, after they did her spay, and it came up here and grew into her bladder. So I've got it removed now, and now we're going to proceed and try to get all the stones out. I'm going to come back in a little bit and I'll amputate this thing a little bit closer down there so we don't have all this just floating around in her abdomen, inviting what's called a pyometra or a stump pyometra, which is a terrible, terrible infection, commonly fatal. Okay, cut that. Okay, we've got this all blocked off from the rest of her body, so if urine comes out of here, which it probably will, it will not fall back into her abdomen. We're going to come back up here on this side of her bladder because there's fewer vessels, and I'm going to cut between those two big vessels right there on her bladder. We're going to cut down to the stones, and this tissue is really, really tough. Her bladder is so scarred just from having those great big rough stones in there for a long, long period of time. Okay. Her bladder is incredibly thick. Look how thick her bladder is. It should be less than half that thick right there. It's just really scarred down. And if you look down inside, Amy, can you get it down there? And you can actually see the stones inside her bladder. There's one right there. So we're going to start getting these guys out of here. Oh, it makes a terrible noise, doesn't it? I just hope her bladder's not ruined from all this scar tissue. There we go. There's stone number one. There's stone number two. Oh man, this last one is wedged really firmly down in there. Okay, you can get a good look at how thick that bladder is right there. And it's really, really thin down here where this other stone is lodged in there. And I took these scissors and I went all the way around it with the scissors closed. So I basically dissected all the tissues away from it because it was kind of adhered, as Amy had asked earlier. But we're going to see if we can pressure it out of there now. I think I've got it moving. Yeah, here it comes. And there we go. Okay. And that's her third stone. And you can see this area out here is so much thicker than the rest of her bladder down below. But anyway, we'll make sure that there's no more stones in there, and we will suture her up. We are now done with our surgery. Here's the stones that we took out of little Yodita, our Great Dane girl right here. And we put a 3-layer closure, meaning we did 3 rows of sutures in her bladder. Then we did one on her musculature of her abdomen, and then one below the skin, and then one on top of the skin. So she's got a lot of sutures in there, and she should do fine after that. I went ahead and took the rest of her uterus. There was a good piece of her uterus in there that should not have been there, and I went ahead and amputated as much of that as I could get to, because those commonly get infected and really create problems. But anyway, we're going to wake this little girl up, and then she's going to be here under some pretty intense nursing care for several days. In there. That it is counting off numbers, right? Hey girl, look at you. You are feeling better today, aren't you? Come here. All right. Here's our little baby. We are 3 days out of surgery, and she did not do very well at all the first couple of days. She was really painful and didn't want to eat, and her blood counts were looking bad. But boy, this morning she has made the turn. She's a little bit warm to the touch. We have antibiotics going in her, but she's eating today and feeling a whole lot better. Despite the broken neck. Yeah, get her little tail wagging there. Good girl, good girl. Okay. Well, folks, our little girl is doing well now. We're a few weeks out of surgery and everything healed up just perfectly. She had a rough 2 or 3 days right after surgery. She didn't want to eat. She was running fever and just felt awful, and we were really, really worried about her because her bladder was so diseased. We really worried about if it was going to be able to hold urine, and also if she was going to be able to produce urine, and then after she produced it, be able to get rid of it. We really, really worried about that. But after about 3 days, she perked up, started eating, and she's just been going great guns ever since then. Her future is going to be pretty labor intensive for her new adopters, because she'll have to have frequent urinalysis and also frequent x-rays of her bladder, and she will have to be on special food. But nevertheless, she is ready to go find her a forever home. And here it is.
I'm so blessed.
Yes, you are. She's a good girl, and you are a good girl for taking her too. This is Kelly. She's our receptionist and also a vet tech here at the hospital, and she's going to take this little girl. I don't think that this dog has ever spent a night here at the hospital, has she?
No. She's kind of special.
From day one, Kelly has been taking her home. Even after surgery and everything else, and Kelly's nursed her. And that's the danger of working in a vet hospital, is you want to adopt them all
of them.
But anyway, well, God bless you, Kelly, for taking her. I know she's in wonderful hands and will have a wonderful life from here on out.
'Cause all I'm asking is for a heartbeat, just a small town miracle. And if the good Lord doesn't hear me, I just want you to know,
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Last I heard, little Yodita was doing just fine, and I also heard that Kelly was totally spoiling the hell out of her any chance she got. No surprise there. I also heard that cats can sometimes bother people when they're trying to make videos. Frank, run on, buddy. But anyway, guys, once again, I'd like to thank you so much for being here today. It means a lot to me. And friends, as you know, we try to really emphasize love and kindness on this channel. And as you all know, there's a lot of people in this world right now that are really, really having some tough times. If you know anybody like that, any of your friends, any of your family, doesn't take long. All you have to do is stop and think for a minute. There's a lot of people struggling in this world, and they could use a smile. And if you would do no more than just sharing this video, sweet little videos like this really do a lot to lift people's spirits. And I would really appreciate it, and I know they would too, if you would just share this video with them. So guys, once again, thank you very much for being here. Bothersome cat for sale, cheap. Thank you so much for being here today, dear friends, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you all. I want you to always remember I love you. Bye-bye now. Frankie cat. So what you doing there, Al?
Neutering a dog, Dad.
All right. Who's gonna learn you?
That's a mistake.